What's interesting to me as someone who appreciates philosophical reasoning and someone who appreciates reasoning on abstract issues and thinking about these things in a deep way is that I've learned that to a degree I have to be able to think in a contradictory way about things. And I've noticed that I free myself when I allow myself to be more contradictory in my approach. So it's not to muddy the waters. It's not to obfuscate. It's not to confuse or disorient. I know that there are a lot of things that I agree with and that I know are going to be a harder route to have to take. I know it's going to be more difficult to do, but I do those things because I believe that to be the right thing to do. I just naturally am going to take the high road because I believe that that's the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what I go through, I try to stick with those values and virtues nonetheless. But I've noticed in a true dialectical fashion that I've had to look at the opposing views. So what would be the reason to not be always compassionate or empathetic? Well, there are reasons. You don't want to get taken advantage of. You don't want to get hurt in any way. You want to take care of the people around you to the best of your abilities. You can't take care of the whole world. The point is there's so many arguments that you can make to show why some of these conclusions are actually flawed. And you could do this with any example. And that's what I've been doing a little bit more recently, is really looking at the other side. I've been doing it in my essay writing because I've been looking at the opposing perspective, or the perspective that I don't want to engage with, but that I know that I need to if I'm going to be thorough on my approach. But the point is, you look at these things and you realize that there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more going on. And so you have to be able to look at it from a contradictory perspective. You have to be able to see it in a dialectical fashion. And none of this is easy. None of this even always makes sense. When you find yourself to be contradicted over and over again, despite trying to uphold your values and do your best, that's a very disorienting place to be. And that can be a crushing place to be. But I feel like we end up in those places because in a very weird way, many people go through life believing very strongly one thing or two things or three things, and they believe those things very strongly, only for later in life to go to the opposite perspective, to go to the opposite conclusion. And this is a very difficult truth. This is a thing that I don't think is easy to recognize and know what to do with, except for the fact that we will be contradicted by life, by the people around us, by circumstances, by institutions, by principles, by ideas. We will be contradicted. And even when we see ourselves as having a dialectical understanding of the world, as having more than just black and white thinking, as having this ability to look at things from a variety of perspectives, we still find ourselves to be contradicted. We still find ourselves to be confused. And that can be a very, I would say, terrible place to be. But I think it's a place that we all end up in some ways, and we just have to be honest about that happening.